Yo, guys, welcome back to another video. This is another football type reaction, and this one has been getting suggested quite a lot. And the video is ranking the most embarrassing moments in Cleveland Browns history, featuring UrinatingTree by KTO. And I'm interested in seeing this one because I've seen a lot to do with them getting memed from the past and how awful they genuinely were. But I want to see some of the moments from that sort of era, and even before that, because before they got into the playoffs, they hadn't been in the playoffs since like 2004, I think, which obviously goes to show they had many dark years, not just like the recent-ish sort of years where they went like 0-16 or they went 1 from like 31. They had 1 win in 2 seasons. Obviously before that there was also like there must have been pretty awful times to say the least, but yeah, man, let's get into this. Let's just check this out, and I'm interested in seeing this one, especially because it's got UrinatingTree in the video, like featuring in it. So I mean, it's gonna be a banger. But yeah, quick shout out to my Instagram and my Twitter. Links in the description for those. But let's get into this one and let's see what this video has to offer, man.
These new look Browns, all sexy on paper, Super Bowl contenders.
Yes, they are.
I am a Browns fan. Like all Browns fans, we have constantly had to watch this organization shoot themselves in the foot week in and week out. Since some of our most memorable moments over the
Also, this is actually before their sort of really successful season this year, so obviously this may have changed a bit because their fans are going to be a lot more positive because the future is so much brighter. But just looking at how dark times really were for them will make me personally sort of appreciate why their fans are so happy with what they saw this season.
last 20 years include throwing bottles at refs and celebrating a win this
I forgot about that. Oh my days, I forgot about that.
season, I've decided to go over the most embarrassing moments in Cleveland Browns history. As an added bonus, I will be accompanied by the legendary YouTuber UrinatingTree. Mr. Tree has some of the best sports content on YouTube, which includes haters guides, total roasts of organizations, and the
I need
famous
to get into
series
more of them, man. I need to see more of the haters guides and more of the legacy of failure videos. I'm gonna get back to them without a doubt. People love them and I just find them so funny to see them. So they're going to be returning for sure, man.
Week in sports ball. For this video, Tree will be ranking each of these moments on a tier list of ever-increasing embarrassment. I'm going to turn it over to him now to explain the tiers before we dive into the video.
Thanks, man. Let's give a brief rundown of the tiers that will be donning these horrible moments in Browns history. The fact is that such misery should be highlighted by men that once led the way. The bottom tier will merely be things that are deflating, but nothing truly worrisome. These things can happen to any fan base. This is the Chris Palmer tier, the first coach of the Browns that led them through their first 2 seasons before being fired. The 4th tier will be those moments that have you questioning the sanity of this team. Stuff that can be either awkward or painful to watch will be here. The usual lowlights of a team season frequent this, the Rob Chudzinski tier, a former top coaching prospect who was the first hire of Jimmy Haslam's reign. He was inexplicably fired after a 4-12 season and his career never recovered. In the middle, we have the stuff that lingers, the things that are very difficult for any fan to live down. These are what most people point to when laughing at a team. Here is the Eric Mangini tier. Mangini, a man who was a terrible hire from the get-go. He learned nothing from his time with the Jets and was fired in 2 seasons. Coming in second are some of the most humiliating moments for any team to be a part of. Stuff that's locked away behind years of bitter memories and a sense of regret. Kind of like hiring a head coach who has never been a head coach at any level before. What can go wrong there? It's the Freddie Kitchens tier. Finally,
His
we
name's
have the
actually
stuff
Kitchens,
that can't be
what?
hidden away. It's the core
I ain't ever heard anyone with the name Kitchen.
identity of every fan. They can't overcome it. Every time they see it, they are still broken. These are the kind of things that anyone might never recover from. Thus, we rightfully call this the Hugh Jackson tier. Enough said.
I've just got to get something quickly. Well, I'll let this run.
The Browns were a consistent playoff team during this decade. However, 3 gut-wrenching losses.
Wait, actually, what year? I wasn't looking at the year. 1980. We're going back to the 80s. I thought we were going back to like. I just thought we were staying in the. I always forget the century, 21st century. I always think the noughties, the 21st century. I didn't know we were going back to the 80s. Oh, so this is going to be a whole host of things then.
The
Okay, I'm
Browns
ready
were a
for this.
consistent playoff team during this decade. However, 3 gut-wrenching losses defined this era, all of which have their own nickname. In 1980, with a minute left inside the red zone, it was second down at the 13-yard line and the Browns were only down by 2. All they needed was a field goal, but instead of playing it safe, they decided to go for the end zone.
9 seconds to go. Into the end zone. Was it intercepted? Oakland intercepted the ball.
The Raiders would go on to win the Super Bowl that year. With 5
Bro, that is fucked. Wait, I know this is kind of irrelevant, but who is the team who lost 4 successive Super Bowl finals? Team who... Was it? It wasn't the Browns, was it? Lost 4 consecutive Super Bowls. The Bills, bro. That is that is pain, man. And how many Super Bowls have the Bills been to? Bills been in 4. Oh my god. I need to do a Bills reaction. Oh my god. That is fucked.
minutes left in the AFC
That's not
Championship.
relevant
The
to the video,
Browns
though.
seemed destined to reach the Super Bowl after the Broncos botched the kickoff return.
A critical mistake by Gene Lang.
Starting at their own 2 and needing a touchdown, John Elway led an incredible 98-yard drive to tie it up. The Broncos would go on to win in overtime. Then, the following year was the much-anticipated rematch. This time, Cleveland had to put together a drive of their own to stay in the game. After getting all the way down to Denver's 8-yard line with just over a minute left, this happened.
Draw to Biner. Ernest Biner.
What?
Fumble the ball,
Wait.
and Denver has.
Oh no, I thought he was
Over a
through.
minute left, this happened.
Draw to Biner. Ernest Biner.
Oh,
Fumble the ball, and Denver has recovered. Oh my!
you know, man.
Yeah, these losses still hurt. Especially since Cleveland hasn't made it this far since these defeats, you can make the argument that they never recovered from these wounds. Although I will say with time passing, these losses have gotten a smidgen more tolerable. Just a bit. That's why these are in the kitchen's tier.
Okay, so it's not even the highest
Speaking of
tier.
disappointing, money talks
Relocation.
and nothing is sacred. Such is the state of pro sports in the 90s. The Browns are indeed moving to Baltimore and what amounts to a $50 million signing bonus to Modell for moving.
Art Modell had been the Cleveland Browns owner since 1961. He had his fair share of controversial decisions made as the owner, but nothing compared to when he decided to move the franchise to Baltimore.
I know I keep pausing, but I actually want to get into like in future sort of reactions or videos to do with like relocating teams. Like, how does it work? So say like the Cleveland Browns, will their fan base then go to support the Baltimore Browns, or will they sort of support the teams closer to them? I can't imagine what that must feel like. I couldn't imagine that in soccer. I couldn't. I genuinely wouldn't know what to sort of do. Because you're sort of, part of your association to your team is sort of being close to them. And obviously, with me and my teams I support in any sport, obviously I can't be close to any of the American teams. Or I'm not close to like Manchester United because I don't live in Manchester. But it's just one of those things that like, if you support a team that relocates, how do you sort of, who do you back? Do you back them when they move? Or do you just back the teams that are closest to you? Do you then just start supporting your college team? Like, I just wonder how it is. And luckily in their case, the Browns actually returned to Cleveland. But I just felt, I don't know how I feel about relocating. I know it's always for profit. For example, at Jacksonville Jaguars, they're looking to move because of like their revenue isn't great. And like, for example, London, the chances and the possibilities of the revenue there are so much more. And I would love that. But I don't know how I feel about it. It's one of those things that I'm still kind of not. That's probably one of the things that I don't really like in American sports. But it benefits the leagues, it benefits the teams. So I mean, I guess it's the only way forward, right? And they're the ones in charge. That's just my sort of judgment on that. And again, it's just one of those things I've always thought about.
Beginning in 1996, the final Browns home game was a sight to behold.
When we look at that pile of seats they've thrown over the edge there,
Oh my god.
Pretty much all the fans held a grudge against Art Modell for the decision he made.
You know what? We'll get another team and we'll go to the Super Bowl before Art Modell does.
Even though Cleveland eventually got a team in the form of an expansion franchise, the original team that moved to Baltimore and changed their name and logo.
Oh, so they didn't actually move back. They just got a new team. Oh shit. Oh wow, I did not know
They
that.
won the Super Bowl within 5 years.
Unlike those playoff games, there is absolutely no recovering from this. Having a team ripped from you due to a greedy owner is one of the worst things a fan can experience. He took their team, their players, and their rivalry with the Steelers. Even worse, in Baltimore, the Ravens would have both stability and success while Cleveland watched. And nothing stings a Browns fan more than having to see Art Modell lift up the Lombardi Trophy. This is definitely Hugh Jackson tier.
That is messed up.
A message to everyone who ever made fun of Cleveland. A message to anyone who ever told a Cleveland joke or laughed at a Cleveland joke. You can now officially shut up!
Shut
In a
up.
much anticipated return to the NFL, the new Browns expansion franchise was to be featured on ESPN's Sunday Night Football versus their rival, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
This must have been huge on TV, man. This must have broke so many records.
Reminiscent of when Alabama played a
shit.
team like Mercer, the Browns got absolutely pummeled. Not only was
Pummeled
the
is
score
an
bad, but the
understatement.
Browns only gained 40 total yards compared to Pittsburgh's 464. The rest of the season was a struggle too, as the Browns went on to finish 2-14.
This was embarrassing, but it was still only their first game as a team. There are going to be some bumps in the road. Expansion rules were restrictive for the Browns, and there wasn't much talent to go around. Just like the guy that coached them, this is going into the Chris Palmer tier.
That's a terrible
This is
result.
serious stuff here in Cleveland. This is
Bowl
a
game.
playoff spot
What's this
potentially on the line.
Did it
In a
bottle it?
2001 regular season game, now known as Bottlegate, the referee crew broke the rules when they decided to review a game-deciding play after another play had already been ran. Not only that, but they took over 5 minutes to come up with a decision. By that time, the stadium had turned into total chaos.
Oh,
Fans gotta stop
throwing
throwing
on
crap. We just saw a guy get hit in the
officials.
head and he's down, split his head wide open. The fans
Oh,
have got to control themselves. People are getting hurt. It's ridiculous. You're only hurting yourself by throwing stuff on the field.
Due to the dangers of all the bottles
That is
hailing
crazy.
down towards the field, the refs called the game then and there. Then the league forced the players to come back out 20 minutes after the fact just to run one more play.
One gentleman sitting in front of us was hit in the head with a Walkman or a CD player.
I'd laugh at Browns fans, but their actions were completely justified. That review shouldn't have happened, and the
Fucking
entire affair was handled as poorly as possible. Their reaction would have occurred anywhere. Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Green Bay, they would have rioted too. Of course, it had to be Cleveland, so it's just another stinging reminder of a wound that doesn't go away. Thus, it's in Mangini tier.
4 seconds remaining. Browns looking to hold on. 39-37.
On opening day during the 2002 season, the Browns found themselves all but guaranteed to win against the Chiefs. It was the last play of the game, and the Chiefs had to throw a Hail Mary to have any chance of winning.
37. Green takes the snap. Green steps up. Under some heat. He got rid of it. And Tate is forced out of bounds at the 25.
The game should have been over right then and there, but it wasn't. Browns linebacker Dwayne Rudd had taken off his helmet and thrown it, thinking he had just sacked Trent Green. But the play wasn't over yet.
Night penalty. Number 57, Cleveland, threw his helmet during the play. It's a tack-on penalty, half the distance to the goal.
Player of the NFL. 30 yards away.
what the
Anderson.
fuck?
He nails it.
They preach the same thing from the time you start playing in Pop Warner.
That is
Pay attention to what's happening on
That reminds me of that college football game where he threw his shoe recently and then ended up losing the game
the
for them.
field. It doesn't
Obviously
matter
to a
if the
high
clock
level.
hits 0, if a whistle isn't blown, you keep playing. The helmet toss is the ultimate worst-case scenario. Not only costing them the game, but doing it in such humiliating fashion. Then again, I wouldn't call it terrible by Brown standards, but merely Chudzinski tier bad.
To Brown standards.
Cleveland Browns selection is from the University of Kentucky, quarterback Tim Couch.
Tim Couch was drafted number 1 overall to the Browns in 1999. With a lack of production on the field, fans were getting more and more frustrated as time went on. Early during the 2002 season, after being booed throughout the game, Tim Couch would suffer a concussion. It was met with cheers from Browns fans.
On the ball and got hit in the back of the head, and next thing I remember, the fans were cheering when I'm laying on the field hurt, and I think it's You know, to be
Fucking
honest
hell.
with you. You know, I've laid it on the line for this team and this city.
His own
and for him
team.
to turn on me and boo me.
That is wild, bro. Like that's like, imagine a player breaking his leg, a player that the fans just don't like for certain reasons, and cheering when he breaks his leg. That is something that I can't even imagine. That's ridiculous.
And my home stadium is a joke. It's a joke to me, and I've worked my ass off here, and you know, it's hard to take, man. It is.
American sports fans are brutal.
If anything, you should be blaming the Browns for giving him nothing to work with for years. The team destroyed his confidence and wrecked his development from the start. Still, it's a bad look to cheer for a player being injured, let alone your own guy. This is Chudzinski tier.
There we
We
go.
talked about they got talent on the outside for the Cleveland Browns, but I expect them to be shown off this much.
Even among a shaky start to the 2002 season, the new expansion Browns had finally found their groove. Head coach Butch Davis managed to lead the Browns to the playoffs in his second season. Again, the Browns found themselves playing their rival Pittsburgh, who had beaten them twice earlier in the year. But this game seemed to be different. Amazingly, the Browns had gone up 24-7 midway through the third. Even better, they were up by 2 scores with just over 3 minutes remaining.
Throws the side, incomplete, right through the hands of Dennis Northcutt. Touchdown. The Steelers will rush. Well, they have 2 down linemen and now a third.
Against your rivals in the playoffs, you bottle it like this.
Holcomb throwing. Complete inside the 30-yard line, looking for the out of
Oh, he got flashed.
This was supposed to be the moment the Browns were to be reckoned with again. Instead, it became another symbol of Pittsburgh using Cleveland as a punching bag. Dennis Northcutt isn't at Andre Rison levels of infamy, but he's up there.
I'm back. You probably heard the banging, and I had to just stop because it was just a bit distracting and I didn't want to record when there was banging going on. My mum decided to start cutting up wood right then, but I'm hoping she stopped. And I'm cold, so if I seem a bit like... I should probably put a jumper on, but I can't be asked. If I seem a bit like shivery, it's because of that. But yeah, let's get back into this. I forget actually where we were. Let's go back a bit more. Where actually were we?
This was supposed to be the moment the Browns were to be reckoned with again.
Oh, the comeback from the Steelers against the
Instead,
Browns.
it became another symbol of Pittsburgh using Cleveland as a punching bag. Dennis Northcutt isn't at Andre Rison levels of infamy, but he's up there. Agony's name for the day, Chris Fuamatu
That's gotta be up there.
Ma'afala. Easily in the
Kitchens.
kitchen's tier.
It lives in warm, moist areas. Its staph can quickly become a staph infection once the area is exposed.
Joe Juravicius was a free agent signing whose childhood dream was to play for the Browns. His reward after 2 seasons of play was a staph infection that effectively ended his career. He needed 5 surgeries to clean it out and would go on to sue the organization afterwards.
Wait, what? A staph infection? What the hell's a staph infection? I've never heard of this before. Are caused by Staphylococcus. Staphylococcus. Don't know if I can say that. Bacteria, types of germs commonly found on the skin or in the nose of even healthy individuals. Most of the time, these bacteria cause no problems or result in relatively minor skin infections. How serious? Can cause serious infections that can get to the blood and can lead to sepsis or... Oh my God.
Kellen Winslow Jr., one of the highest profile tight ends in Browns history, had it twice. He accused the Browns of asking him to cover it up. But perhaps the most notable player was LaCharles Bentley. He was another local product who was the biggest free agent signing of the new Browns. He suffered a devastating injury on the first play of training camp. His patella tendon was only made worse by, yes, a staph infection. Bentley would never play another down of football again and went on to sue the Browns for their role in enabling it. 6 players over the course of 5 years were infected. That's all that.
That is horrible. That is like sort of that's one of those things that could sort of end a franchise or like a company, whatever you want to say. Like that happens in like your daily sort of job. That company's getting sued and probably going bankrupt for that kind of stuff. That is ridiculous. And one of the players was told to sort of hide it. Like, what?
Needs to be said.
The Browns medical team had a huge black eye on it during this time, and most of it was due to enabling Staphylococcus to spread in their rehab facilities. To be fair, viruses of that nature are incredibly difficult to eradicate, but they should have taken better measures to make sure their players couldn't get it. The Buccaneers also had this issue flare up over the next few years, but considering who this virus infected, that's what makes this hard to swallow. Mangini to your pain.
I thought that'd be higher.
With the 22nd pick in the 2014 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Johnny Manziel.
After receiving a text from Manziel that he wanted to wreck the league in Cleveland, the Browns traded up to draft Johnny Football. Manziel was the backup to Brian Hoyer throughout much of 2014. Even with Hoyer playing well, fans still desperately wanted to see Johnny play. Even though the Browns got off to a 7-4 start, they would lose 2 games in a row. And with playoff hopes on the line, they decided to make the change to Manziel.
Back to throw, looking, and it's going to be intercepted. Stepping up in trouble.
Is it a big mistake? Yeah.
Slings it end zone in trouble. Intercepted by Jones. All right, Pam, we will see here. Looks like a little zone read, and that's going to go for maybe a loss.
Robert Manziel entered rehab a facility last Wednesday. According to his advisor, quote, Manziel knows there are areas in which he needs to improve to be a better family member, friend, and teammate.
Oh my God.
Manziel would have a disappointing showing in 2015, which would end in injury. During the season finale for the Browns, Manziel was nowhere to be seen. That's because he went to Vegas to party. He was released by the Browns after those 2 horrendous seasons.
What makes this worse is that the Browns spent over 6 figures for a research firm to analyze who the best quarterback of this class was. They recommended Teddy Bridgewater. Manziel always struck me as a guy who would be drafted way higher than he should be because of his name, and the Browns fell for the bait. At least Johnny Football would be a Hall of Famer if partying were a key trait to success. Total disaster. Mangini
That's
team.
ridiculous. Will
attempt a 51-yard try.
The 2015 season was a nightmare. But at the end of the day, if the Browns can at least beat the Baltimore Ravens, that's a huge win. With 3 seconds left and the game tied up, the Browns had a chance to win with a walk-off field goal.
Kick on the way. No, it's blocked. The Ravens got it. Live ball. Will Hill picks it up. Running near sideline. He's got blockers. Browns 40, 30, 20, 10. One man to beat. Touchdown, Ravens.
Browns really love being pantsed at home against their old team, don't they? This was good for a laugh or 6.
Against the old team as well. Oh my God, that is fucked. Oh, that is fucked.
First saw the
I can't imagine going through that. That is absolutely fucked.
highlights, but this is what Cleveland has to experience. A team that's terrible at its worst and frustratingly bad at its best. Sadly, I don't think this one even makes their top 10 in terms of most painful losses.
What?
That's depressingly Chris.
What?
The Cleveland Browns select
Fucking hell.
Justin Gilbert, defensive back. The Cleveland Browns select Trent Richardson, Barkevius Mingo.
From 2011 to 2016, the Browns' first-round picks were off the charts in the wrong direction. 8 first-round picks, and every single one of them ended up being a bust. It's uncanny how good the Browns are at picking bad players or ruining promising ones' careers.
2 words. Justin Gilbert. He's one of the biggest busts in Browns history, but he's been mostly ignored because of all the lights on Johnny Football. Or would you rather me talk about Corey's second team, Coleman? What about Birmingham Iron legend Trent Richardson? They at least got a first-round pick for him, which they promptly wasted in trading up for Johnny Football. The best-case scenario for these picks were underachievers. This is a main reason why the Browns are awful. Freddie Kitchens tier easily.
So for the Dog Pound, for our players, I am really pleased to introduce Hugh Jackson as the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns.
Hugh Jackson himself.
After a poor 2015 season, the Browns ran out yet another front office. They decided to bring in Hugh Jackson and the Moneyball front office to try to get ahead. Instead, they barely managed to win a single game in 2016. Hugh Jackson would make a claim that he would jump into Lake Erie if they didn't win more than 1 game the next year. Well, the Browns would go winless in 2017.
Oh, yeah, she went
Following
in.
the 0-16 season, Browns fans would have a parade voicing their frustrations with the team. Even after nearly 2 decades of struggle, the Browns had hit an all-time low. Amazingly, Hugh didn't get fired. Instead, he was given one more chance. But after another brutal start to a season, the Browns finally let him go midway through the year. His coaching record in Cleveland is one of the most shameful things you'll ever see.
I never understood why they allowed Hugh Jackson to be brought back after the 0-16 season. There were a lot of instances where Jackson's coaching was the reason why the team lost. The game planning was shoddy, Deshaun Kaiser was left out there to be ruined, he constantly blamed other people for his own mistakes, and the fanbase regressed to gallows humor. There was no vision whatsoever. They acted like they were going on the NFL's process only to try and overpay for AJ McCarron at the deadline. Everybody kept laughing at the Browns. To think you could have had Sean McDermott over him, but Jimmy Haslam overruled another recommendation. It was bitterly awful pain that still lingers to this day. I have to be ironic with this one and put it in the Hugh Jackson tier.
Imagine
Nothing tells
in
the story
tier,
of the
that's
modern-day
weird.
Browns better than these two stats. The Browns have only managed one winning season since 2003. It's so bad that last year's 7-8-1 season was worth celebrating in Cleveland. It's hire a new regime. Fail, fire the regime not long after that, rinse, repeat. The names fade in and out like pages in a book. The quarterback carousel has been a source of shame for years.
Remember the jersey with the names of every single Brown starting quarterback on it? It may have been retired, but it's the symbol of their seemingly endless futility. No matter what happens, their quarterbacks, coaches, and executives fail. Every time. There's a reason why the Browns are called the Factory of Sadness. All of this encompasses it, and it's on display every Sunday. It's one of the main causes of their suffering. Easily in the Hugh Jackson tier.
Now you go to Cleveland, and they don't have the best players in the league. You're going to be asked to carry...
I'll stop you right there. Have you seen our roster?
Since the Browns have returned to the NFL in 1999, they have never received the amount of hype like they did in 2019. With all the talent in the world, Cleveland became a popular choice to win the Super Bowl among bettors in Vegas. Even the media had hopped on the bandwagon.
Are these Browns Super Bowl contenders?
Yes, they are.
But after getting blasted by Tennessee on opening day, the Browns have struggled to be even decent, let alone winning the division. With OBJ on pace for his worst statistical season, the Browns allegedly botching his groin injury, Myles Garrett's obscene act, Baker Mayfield regressing, and the complete debacle of the Freddie Kitchens experiment, this season has been insufferable for Browns fans like myself. This was supposed to be the year that all the suffering was over, yet this might be the most painful one yet.
I must admit I was one of those that thought the Browns had a chance to be great. Although I felt they had an equally good chance of being this as well. They were a volatile team to predict. So many new pieces and moving parts, a head coach who has never coached taking control of a situation that a seasoned veteran would find challenging. So many alpha male personalities and mouths to feed on both offense and defense. To think that Cleveland has this much talent and they still might not get over that 500 hump? It may finally be the thing that breaks this fan base. For the meantime though, I'll be ironic again and put this in the Freddie Kitchens tier.
This is a good video. I enjoyed this a lot. It's a shame that I kept having to pause to go downstairs and stop recording for a little bit. But this was a good ass video. I'm a Browns fan. Sounds like a start to a really sad AA meeting. Hot take: Bottlegate didn't go far enough. I'm taking the Browns to the Super Bowl. Me when I take a dump. What have I just read? What have I just read? That's a good comment. The star of affection known as Johnny Football. I just turned 40, but my dad screamed fuck and launching a sloppy joe at the TV when Barnes fumbled seems like yesterday. But it needs to go far, but not seeing the ref get hit was hella disappointing. UrinatingTree, a Steelers fan and a Browns fan collaborating, who'd have thought? But this is a good video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you want to see more stuff from KTO, let me know in the comments and I'll be sure to do so. But yeah, until next time, like, subscribe. Peace.